Are you emphasizing on the fact that self introspection is necessary for an individual?
What I believe in life coaching is the transformation starts from inside
Yeah, true.
and then it starts reflecting outside. If you keep trying to change the outside world, you
Hmm.
won't get that satisfaction until and unless you start changing from inside.
Why do you think most people struggle in finding inner self?
Life coaching was something which was coming directly from inside, from my core.
How environment and culture or people around them impacts directly to their decision making or realizing what they want to do.
As you grow up, now you have to, it's not only about stream, it's about life now.
True.
See, we are not in a position to change the past,
Hmm.
but
Sure.
we are in a position to change our perspective of that past that
Absolutely.
we have experienced. So once we start changing the perspective, we start changing our inner core belief, we start seeing the changes start manifesting in the
Hmm.
outside world as well.
So every day, make sure that 3 to 4 hours you're giving it to yourself, not to social media, not to your school, not to your studies.
But if you're not dealing with any specified emotional mental issue, then a life coach is where you can go.
Welcome to my show, Sonali. Um, though I've been knowing you for a very long time, because you've been my friend, so I'm actually very happy to be here hosting you on this show named Hamajkal Avayu Show. Today we're gonna talk about your field, wherein you seems to be a veteran, since you've been working for a very long period of time, almost 2 years and above. Um, but before I go and go beyond my inquisitivity of asking all those questions, I would like you to introduce yourself for the audiences out there. So, what specifically I would like to know from you in terms of introduction is like in the realm of life coaching, which you are doing right now. I want you to tell me about your journey. How did you land up here? I know that you've been engineer because we studied together, but how did you come to this place, and what you're doing here? Um, Basically, anything which you would like to say in a manner which people do not know you at this point.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me here. And I would like to say hi to everyone who is listening to the podcast. So, my name is Sonali Budhrani, and I've done software engineering. And then I went ahead and done MBA. But a reason to shift my career from software engineer to MBA and then to a life coach came at a point in my life when I saw a lot of struggle during times of Corona. So in 2018 and 19, I realized the importance of mental and emotional health. And during this time, I had lots of questions based on what am I doing wrong and why isn't my life working out the way it should be working out, how I want it to be. And life coaching brought some answers. So after that, I decided to become a life coach myself so that I can help others achieve the same results in their life and get them some happiness and contentment from their life, like I found through life coaching. So that is the reason I became a life coach.
Wonderful, right?
Thank you.
So I think it's purely an altruistic task which possibly you have taken up by your own experiences, right?
Yeah.
I would like you to share any experiences of yours, maybe which possibly you dealt with your client to begin with, and from there we can go further and try to delve more into your aspects of doing the things in life coaching. So maybe any example which you'd like to quote.
So I'll take my example. Like
Right?
when I was struggling in my life, I knew I wasn't happy with the way my life was shaping up.
Hmm.
And I somehow knew that the answers were in my past when
Hmm.
I was growing up.
Hmm.
So I was struggling to find out how I used to work in my school life. How did I succeed in my school? And why am I not succeeding now?
Hmm.
What is the problem in the present that it's not shaping up like I want to be? So the few answers came, like in school I was very punctual, very disciplined, because there is a routine that we follow in school. But after that, there is no routine that we follow, right? When you are not working as in a 9 to 5 job, you don't have a routine. So I'm coming from a business background and I didn't have any routine. I am my own boss. I can do whatever I want whenever I want to.
Yeah.
So with that, there is no routine with what you are doing. So
Hmm.
one of the answers was that I don't have a routine now. It's entirely up to me. I'm
Right.
not working according to time. Like there is no time limit that I'm keeping. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to do now. This is what I'm supposed to do after that. There was no routine. There was no schedule.
Hmm.
And what was missing was there were no goals,
Hmm.
because it's my own thing. If I don't measure my goals, like we have tests and exams in school, you have certain specified goals. I don't have goals. You don't know where you are going, why you are going there.
Hmm.
So the pace, you are not controlling your pace. You're just leaving it to the universe and
Hmm.
to your environment basically.
Hmm.
So whatever is happening. So you are not designing or controlling your life.
Hmm.
But once you become aware of your goals, you become aware of your routine and where you want to devote your time to. You have a specified measured goals, you have specified measured time limits. Okay, this is what I want to achieve, and in this much time limit I want to achieve that, and this is how I can achieve that.
Hmm.
So now you are in a phase where you are designing your own life, and
Hmm.
that is when you will get what you want out of your life, right? If you don't even know what you want of your life, you won't get it. But this dissatisfaction was there. I didn't know that I'm not designing the life, but I know I was dissatisfied with where I am right now.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
the reason for dissatisfaction was because I didn't know where I have to go. I am not designing it. The answer is very simple. Like you don't know what you're doing,
Hmm.
but you are not satisfied with the life that you have right now.
Yeah. So don't you think that most of the people, to whom, like yourself, wherein you were not knowing yourself and did not know where you are going, how you are going, how, what's your life curriculum would be maybe 10 years down the line. Um, are you emphasizing on the fact that self introspection is necessary for an individual?
Yes, very much necessary. Like what I believe in life coaching is the transformation starts from inside
Yeah, true.
and then it starts reflecting outside. If you keep trying to change the outside world, you won't get that satisfaction until and unless you start changing from inside.
Mhm.
So once the transformation starts happening from inside and then it's reflected outside, it's more permanent, it's more satisfying, and it's more up to your liking and your wishes.
Right, right, right. But even though, why do you think most people struggle in finding inner self, right? I'll give you my example. It's been a very long period of time wherein, uh, I did not know what to do. In fact, if I quote the example of my engineering, I did not know whether I want to do the engineering, right? I just followed the path what people were following, and I just went in there. In fact, when we were studying and took this computer science branch, I did not know how to land up there. I called up my mama and said which branch I should be taking, right? So precisely what I'm trying to say, I did not know whether I wanted to do the engineering. I did not know whether I wanted to take computer science, right? So uh, my question here is like, people even even doing a bit of self introspection, maybe at the younger age, they still struggle to find out that they want to do what they want to do, right? Because as they grow, they possibly interact with so many other people, access to so many other knowledge or environment, and their perceptions change. How do you think that environment and the perception actually leads people to change their own decision, and thus making them have this conflictory decision, or the arguments in their mind or heart itself? So what do you think that how environment and culture or people around them impacts directly to their decision making or realizing what they want to do?
See, it depends upon the person to person. Like you, even my experience was similar. Like, I didn't know if I want to do software engineering, if I want to do commerce, or what subjects to take.
Mm,
I just went with what my friends were doing.
mm,
So it was more dependent on the environment, and it wasn't coming from me. It wasn't what I wanted to do,
yeah.
which I realized much later.
Mm,
It wasn't that I didn't enjoy software engineering, I didn't enjoy coding. I enjoyed coding. I enjoyed when I was working for TCS. I worked for TCS 2 years as a software engineer, and I enjoyed that
yeah,
part of my life as well.
sure.
But that is not where I maybe grew.
Mm,
It's not where I wanted to be.
mm,
And then I changed my stream to MBA, which was coming more from my side, but still it was impacted from the environment, because I am coming from a business family.
mm,
So that is now where it was coming from.
yeah.
Life coaching was something which was coming directly from inside, from my core,
Mm,
because I found so many answers from it,
mm.
and maybe it was a purpose driven answer. So
So if I,
this is maybe my life's purpose. That is what
abs-
it should be like, helping others and helping them achieve their dreams, and maybe moving into mental and emotional health and raising awareness about it. So
mm,
this is what's coming from inside. And what happens as when you're growing up, you are influenced by so many things.
mm,
There is a lot of influence of friends, of family, and self awareness is missing. What you like to do, what subjects you are interested in, what field you are doing good in. If a person is good in language, maybe he should be taking up something else. If a person is good in finance, calculation,
mm,
he should be taking some other stream. If a person is good in maths, he should be taking some other stream. So which streams you are good in, which subjects you like to do,
mm,
why you like to do it. So
mm.
I think there is awareness about subjects and fields much more now, because there are career counselors that are there.
Yeah,
But when we were growing up, there wasn't any counseling for career as such.
absolutely.
So back then, there was more of a herd mentality.
Mm,
Now there is more awareness that is happening, and what kids want to do. And as you grow up,
yeah,
now you have to, it's not only about stream, it's about life now.
true, true.
So what you want to do in your life, how you want your life to be, is a much more vast topic. Like, it's a vast topic than just deciding a stream and your career.
Mm,
Now we're talking about your entire life. So
mm,
now awareness and knowing yourself becomes much more important,
right.
as opposed to the career. When we're talking about career, that is just coming from money, earning money.
Mm,
That is how you would be earning money,
mm,
but this is how you will be living your life.
right.
So I believe this is much more important than, obviously, every that is also important.
Yeah,
Coming from a child's perspective, it is important.
yeah.
But when you're deciding your life, knowing yourself and transforming yourself is much more important.
Absolutely. I agree. And like you mentioned that, people these days have a lot of access in terms of knowledge, in terms of data available out there. And by virtue of social media or, the internet, um, I think young kids who are watching us right now, maybe they possibly realizing that they could able to decide things, like you mentioned, the career counseling and all. Fine, but still, if I go back to my previous questions, that specifically leads to something called the inner DNA. I'm trying to divert this conversation into a bit more details onto it. That if people are trying to make certain decisions or certain steps in their life, do you think it is actually being because what they felt as a part of their inner DNA, or do you think that it's a value which is driving their specific decision? I'm discounting this culture, environment, and all those sort which we have discussed right now, but let's take for an example that what is the role an individual's inner DNA or the values play? Because we know that we all are born with values, right? And they also evolve over the period of time. But then, what is the significance of one's own value with which he or she has born, and how do we correlate this with the decision making that possibly one will be taking in due course of his lifespan?
See, everyone has certain belief system, some values, and the way we make decision is there is sort of feeling attached to every decision that we make, every action that we take.
Hmm.
So when we process the how the subconscious mind works, it's the actions are going through certain beliefs that we have, what values we believe in. There might be some limiting beliefs or some encouraging beliefs, some positive beliefs. That action would be going through that processing, and that is how you decide whether you will feel good about that action or you will feel bad about that action.
Hmm.
So whether a particular decision is right for you determines it's a good decision or it's a bad decision, how you're feeling about it. If you're feeling good after you have made that decision, if you're
Hmm.
feeling empowered after you have made that decision, you have made the right decision.
Yeah.
So what is deciding whether you're feeling good or empowered after you have made a decision are the values and the belief system that you carry.
Right. And how does this value or the belief system forms?
See, values are formed very early in childhood.
Hmm.
If we go into spirituality and talk about past life, certain values are are being brought back from our past life as well.
Yeah.
And mostly consciously, the values are formed in this life at an early age through family, environment, and circumstances that we come up with, that our life throws us at.
Hmm.
So the values are being formed at a very early age. Then we come into belief system. Belief system is also being formed through circumstances, through incidences that you have faced. Now,
Yeah.
for example, a child is being scolded by a father in front of his friends. He might form a belief system that his father would again discourage him or insult him in front of his friends
Hmm.
and decide to not call his friends ever
Hmm.
in front of his father. So that is a belief system being formed because of just one incident. Because in this child's life, that incident is very important because he was insulted in front of his friends,
Right.
right? So a belief system is now formed.
Right.
So these are the belief system, this we call negative belief system.
Hmm.
There could be a positive belief system wherein a father is encouraging a child to do good, is appreciating him even if the score is low.
Hmm.
Now the belief system might be that I want to do more good,
Hmm.
do more justice to my score, bring out more score because my father is already appreciating me. So a positive belief system is being formed.
Hmm.
So the circumstances are forming the belief system.
Hmm.
Now, when we grow old and we come across different circumstances, we are making decisions. These belief systems play a very huge role in making the decision.
Right.
Like you might decide to not introduce your friends to your father. A decision is being made, right?
Yeah.
Because of a negative belief system that you have formed at a childhood just because of one incident.
If I have to go or delve a little more deeper into it, uh, though the value or belief system, what you have just said, based on the experiences, what they've been through or they are going through, can I say or conclude in a way that your belief system would continuously be changing as you go along in your lifespan, as you meet with the people, and then what possibly I was thinking maybe at the age of 16, I may not be thinking the same at the age of 26, and so does at the age of 36 or 46 maybe. uh, is it true that this belief system, as you mentioned, because of the occasions um, or the experiences, what you are going through or you will be achieving it, would impact your belief system? Do you think so?
See what happens if you are not consciously changing your belief system, it won't change automatically.
What is conscious,
Con-
conscious?
Consciously, see, when I'm coming from a very religious Hindu background,
Sure.
so I was taught of karma, of doing good karma, right?
Yeah.
So when you're thinking of doing good karma, you might consciously decide to not let that incident affect you
Hmm.
and still introduce your friends to your father, even though he has made a negative impact once. But because you're working on good karma, you are consciously doing that, not letting that incident affect your future decisions.
So
That
isn't
is
this,
when you are consciously working on the
yeah,
belief
so
system.
isn't this a emotional biases which is coming into play?
It is coming, but we are not aware of it.
Okay.
See, as a child, even as adults, we are forming belief every time we are faced with an incident.
Hmm.
Like you might start thinking that this boss isn't good. Why you're forming that belief is because of certain incidents that have happened with you.
Yeah.
Now if you consciously start focusing on this belief system and start changing it into a positive one, you will see the environment, the behavior of the boss, the behavior of yourself also start changing, because you're now consciously working on the belief that you might have formed negatively. So now you're working on it to make it a positive belief.
Mm.
Now other thing is straight away changing the belief system to a
Mm.
positive one.
Mm.
If we don't come from karma thing, and we weren't aware of it when we were forming those limiting beliefs, but now we are aware of it. Okay, so now we pinpoint what are the limiting beliefs of a person, we start noting them down and start changing those negative beliefs into a positive one. So from at least from now on, from this present moment, when you are now aware of the limiting beliefs and you have changed them to a positive one,
Mhm.
you will start seeing the positive changes in your world,
Right.
in your environment, in your decisions.
Right.
Because now you have changed those limiting beliefs which were formed subconsciously,
Mm.
when you were not aware of them, but they were formed, still formed. A
Mm.
brain is a very complicated thing, and we have so many thoughts that run in our brain daily, on daily basis.
Yeah.
You aren't aware of all the thoughts, you aren't aware of what is going on in your subconscious mind when you're consciously working, but beliefs are being formed.
Correct. Okay.
So
Hmm.
we start now consciously working on them, on our thoughts, on our beliefs, on our values.
So, which means a child who is having a traumatic experience, maybe in the young age, can still change his belief system, what had happened to him over the period of time, given that he will be exposed to, good values or good people, a good society, and that's exactly been I mean would be possible to change his all negative emotions and negative beliefs. That's what
Yes,
you're trying to say at this point, right?
yes, yes. See, we are not in a position to change the past,
Hmm.
but
Sure.
we are in a position to change our perspective of that past that
Absolutely.
we have experienced. So once we start changing the perspective, we start changing our inner core belief, we start seeing the changes start manifesting in the
Hmm.
outside world as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this leads to me to ask you one more topic, which is quite correlative to it, and that is about the self doubt, right? So even though you have changed your belief system, you have you've gone ahead a bit in your life, but still there are moments. Even let's say, not taking an example of a person who is having this bad experiences in the past life. Uh, he changed himself or herself during the course of his span going further, but still there is a self doubt. There is a moment which clicks in to that person's mind, saying that, what, this happened before, and now what if it would happen again, right? This would basically breaks the confidence, no matter how positive things he had gained or she had gained by virtue of the environment or the culture he's been living in, right? So self doubt, to me, I think it's little common, especially for the people who are navigating the big career or the life changes. So would you like to suggest some practical steps to build the self belief in such moments? Is it a
See,
fair question?
yeah, it's a fair question, and I totally understand where it is coming from.
Mhm.
See, self belief is a habit that we form.
Yeah.
So automatically self doubt start coming because we are constantly comparing ourselves, are comparing the results that we are bringing in our work, in our life, with others,
Hmm.
with what is being portrayed on TV, what is being shown in the media. We are constantly comparing ourselves with our colleagues, our friends. So self doubt creeps in.
Yeah.
But also from the past, with our past experiences. So if we have failed in the past and a similar situation comes, self doubt creeps in. There is this inner voice which is saying, no, you won't be able to do it because you didn't do it in the past, so you won't be able to do it again. But that is not 100% truth.
Hmm.
That back then you were a different person, now you're a different person, and you might have learned so many things from that failure. So you're not seeing the positive side of the failure. If you start seeing failure as a feedback mechanism, if you start seeing that failure as a learning thing, as a learning process, as a stepping stone,
Hmm.
you would get a different perspective. And now, this time, when you're faced with a similar circumstance, instead of seeing that you failed, you would say, I will try again because I learned so many things from that. I will pass this time.
Hmm.
So you are changing your perspective in a way.
Right.
So instead of seeing the setback as a failure, you are seeing the setback as a learning, as a stepping stone, and then moving on.
Hmm.
This is one method of dealing with that self doubt.
So you're saying failure play um, a crucial role in strengthening the self belief. That's the gist I can say.
No, it's not playing as you have to consciously
Hmm.
bring your self belief in. You
Okay.
have to change your perspective about seeing the failure as a failure.
So you have to accept basically that you're okay, okay, I've got failed. And I just have to have that acceptance that, okay, fine, that happens, right?
That happens, and what did I learn from that failure?
Huh.
So now you're taking the failure as a lesson and you're improving yourself. You're constantly improving yourself. So
Hmm.
instead of competing with others, instead of comparing yourself with others, with your colleagues, with your
Yeah.
friends, or with your past failures, you are now focusing on improving yourself, becoming better every day.
Hmm.
So instead of seeing the failure as a failure, you are seeing it as a learning lesson. So
Yeah.
that is bringing in an improvement, plus it is bringing a positive perspective to the failure and to your current situation as well.
Right. So I just have to jot down what lessons I have learned from that failure.
Yeah. And what positive can you see from that failure?
Hmm.
There would be some positive that you will be able to see in that failure as well.
Where do I bring that positivity? I'm already a broken person. I'm already got so many hits from the decisions what I've taken. So how would I get that confidence, that strength to, um, to learn something out of it, because my confidence is already broken, right? So
See,
any hacks to it, if you would like to suggest?
yeah, like I said, self-belief is a habit that we build in.
Hmm.
So it is an attitude that you start inculcating in yourself. The attitude that I say, call it, is never giving up. You don't give up.
Hmm.
So no matter how many times you fall, you get back up, dust yourself, and again start moving ahead. This is the attitude that you have
Yeah.
to, succeed in your life. So if you think about any failure, any circumstances that you're faced with, you think of this attitude of never giving up. No matter
Mhm.
how many times you've failed, there would be, light at the end of the tunnel. This is every night brings a day, every darkness brings in some light. So that is how you change the perspective and you see a positive side. There would be light at the end of the tunnel, so you
Hmm.
don't have to give up midway.
Hmm.
It might be just this one try you give, which you are dreading the most, is the stepping stone to your success, to your future life, to the life that you wanted.
Right. Do
So
you
you
think
don't
at this,
know.
yeah, do you think at this stage, people who are suffering from these kind of issues, building self-confidence, self-beliefs, and issues like this, do you think uh, that's where the role of a life coach or maybe a counselor comes in a play?
See, yeah, uh, you said it really nicely, that that is where the role of counselor and life coach comes in.
Mm.
But there is a difference between a counselor and a life coach.
Yeah,
A
sure.
counselor talks about your past,
Hmm.
and a life coach talks about your future. So the focus of both, the field is really different.
Okay.
A counselor, a healer is talking about your past and trying to change your perspective.
Hmm.
A life coach is talking about your limiting beliefs and your values so that you get a deep insight into your future. So we are focusing on the future so that the client who has come in knows where he wants to go, where she wants to go, and how they are going to achieve that.
Okay.
The focus changes, but yeah, obviously you have to work on yourself in both the scenarios. One more thing I would like to talk about when we're talking about self belief is that you start appreciating your small
Yeah.
achievements. That is how the belief system builds up.
Hmm.
So you set small goals, and every goal you achieve, every small achievement you have, you start appreciating yourself.
Sure. Okay.
So it's how the habit is built slowly
So
into the system.
if a person is struggling with this confidence issues and the self belief thing, first, to whom he should be approaching first? To a counselor or to a life coach? What would be the strategy of for him to go ahead first and try solving this specific issues?
It depends upon how serious the issue is.
Okay.
If you are dealing with mental emotional health issues like depression, stress, anxiety,
Mm.
then obviously a counselor and a therapist is needed.
Mhm.
But if you're not dealing with any specified emotional mental issue, then a life coach is where you can go.
So how do I measure that? Whether I mean that I don't know what I'm suffering from. It's just a problem. It's just an issue, right?
Yeah, so
And I'm
best thing is you approach both. You just go and talk to both of them,
okay.
find a life coach, find a counselor, find a therapist, talk
Yeah.
to them,
Yeah.
and then decide where you start trusting your gut and your instinct.
Hmm.
So you keep trying out new things, keep
Hmm.
trying out stuff, and you would build a strong gut feeling, and you would know which one is the right way to go.
Hmm. All right. I thought the hit and trial method only happens in experiments, but I think human
No.
emotions also deals with that. All right.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Now I want to talk specifically about the validation point, right? Um, See, most people struggles with that, and I would not say it's struggle. It's like they seek for the validation. And I think this possibly have been driven from uh, because of the lack of the confidence again, and because of lack of the self belief what we just spoke. um, but still, they constantly trying to seek a balance between the validation from others and trusting their own self belief. How do you deal with the such situation, who, or maybe what remedies possibly you'll be giving to other person, that you are enough, you don't need validation? But still, this is the common phenomena which we see, at least I have seen a lot, not only in my friend circle. Sometimes, even I was a culprit of that. I always seek for this validation thing, and this is a human trait, I believe, right? There is no certain things which possibly been told by somebody that you should not, you should follow this roadmap so that you would not get into this validation path. But it's innately comes out of you, that you seek for the validation all the time. What uh, two or three things would you like to suggest, so that people start saying that I am enough, whatever decision I've taken is good, whatever consequences which might be coming because of the decision I've taken, I would able to handle that. And then I would able to pursue going further with that same confidence, with that same belief. Your take, what would you say?
So we are living in a culture
Hmm.
where this validation and acceptance is coming from outside and not from inside.
True that.
Once we change this thing, this culture of getting validation and acceptance from outside, and we start thinking from our inside,
Hmm.
getting validation from inside, getting acceptance from inside, the whole scenario changes.
Okay.
So, once you're aware of your value system, what values you have, and you are aware of where you want to go, this issue of getting validation and acceptance and finding happiness through validation and acceptance of others would slowly go away, because now you will start finding happiness from inside because of the things that you're doing. Because these things that you are now designing your life with, you are filling your life or your time with, is automatically giving you happiness, content, satisfaction. So now there is no need for others to validate your actions. There is no need for others to accept you, because you have accepted your value system, you have accepted yourself. You now know this is the thing that gives me happiness. This is the things that I like to do in my life. This is where I want to go. So you are your own judge, your own counselor, your own healer. You don't need anyone else now. You are more than enough for yourself.
Okay.
So the whole need of getting acceptance and happiness from others goes away slowly.
Hmm. But it's a slow process. It's not gonna come so fast. There is no magic which will happen to a person, and it just get away from you, right?
It's work in progress. And see, life is, a human being is work in progress, according to me.
Absolutely.
And in life coaching, we have this theory of being a lifelong learner.
Hmm.
Even my grandmother used to say this thing, that as you live life, you keep learning stuff.
Hmm.
This is what she believed in. So you are a lifelong learner, and it's a process. Like every time life would give you a new circumstance. It
Hmm.
won't be coming, similar circumstances don't come. There is every time a new situation, a new circumstance. You keep learning, you keep evolving, you keep growing.
Hmm.
So
Right.
it keeps changing, and you keep evolving and focus on your growth, on your fulfillment,
Hmm.
and the happiness that you get from inside, and not the happiness that you're receiving from others.
Hmm. Great point. Happiness that you get from inside, right?
Yeah.
And all we need to do is to realize that value system, that we are enough. Whatever had happened, it's gone. Start living in the present, and possibly you would find one or other way. And still, if you are struggling, of course Sonali is there to help you.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, so Now I'm going to quote one example, which possibly have been in conversation for in so many forums. We the pandemic happened, right? And it's basically has reshaped that how people operate or how people think, whether it is in terms of life, work, or the values. Now, have you ever noticed any shift in how people perceive their self-belief in that context or uh, that respect?
What I experienced is after pandemic,
Yeah.
there was so much stress,
Hmm.
so much of emotional, mental trauma that everyone went through.
So is
Many
it
people
because
lost their loved ones.
I like to ask, sorry to intervene there. You mentioned stress and trauma. Is it because there are no social life available because of the pandemic, or
Yeah,
is it something um, that people started believing that there is nothing left, they are just hopeless, everything will just go away? What is the core reason of that
both
stress?
both the things.
Okay.
They were caged inside their houses.
Yeah.
Everyone was caged.
Mm,
People were losing their loved ones. There was fear. There was so much fear of the pandemic that something would happen to their loved ones, something would happen to them. They can't move outside, they can't
mm,
go outdoors.
mm,
Even not going outdoors is a stress in itself. So there was a huge amount of change in the lifestyle as well.
mm.
There were no mates coming, there was no help inside. You have to do everything, and people live in small houses. Like in Mumbai, there are so many people living in a 1 BHK.
So the pandemic was a wake up call for many of the people, including me. I cannot talk about everyone else, but for me it was a wake up call, as in I wasn't taking care of my emotional and mental well being, and I was just focusing on my physical health. So after pandemic or during the lockdown process, I realized the importance of emotional and mental health, plus how to take care of our mental and emotional health. See, what happens is life has different sectors, and in pandemic when we were locked down, the other sectors apart from the family and friends that were in the house with us together, every other part of our life was cut down. Our career, business was cut down. We weren't allowed to go out. The physical environment was cut down. Health and fitness was cut down. People weren't allowed to go outside or go for a walk outside or to a gym. So whatever was there in the house was accessible to them, and that's all they could do. Fun recreational activities weren't there. So there was a big shift in how you lived your life before pandemic, how you lived your life during the pandemic when the lockdown was there, and after it slowly how things recovered back to normal. So the perceptional shift which I had for life was that mental and emotional health also matters along with the physical health, and how the different areas of life affect you as a whole.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you think that there is a major shift in the inner belief as well with respect to normal people?
See, the inner belief got must have gotten dwindled, or you must have started questioning yourself because the careers and the job perspective wasn't there anymore,
Yeah.
and many people were facing job loss and were taken out because of the pandemic. So that must have, set in a set of guilt or a question mark why I am getting kicked off from the.
Mm,
So that way, self belief got questioned, plus fear of death got involved during the
mm.
pandemic because everyone was scared. Everyone was scared of their life and how to take care of themselves, what all things to do, what all precautions to take. So their sort of faith and again self belief was in question.
So, what people would have done in that scenario, that could uplift their core strength, core inner values, um, and something which actually gave them that courage that everything's going to be fine. Do you think that people like yourself, life coach, being a life coach, um, would have played a major role there? But I don't know if there was a proper access to those folks or not. I think most people, or the news what we have heard, uh, was like many people were committing suicide, getting into depressions, etc. So what do you think that in future, near future, if this kind of circumstances happened again, how people can be more aware, specifically from their inner core side, right? Um, so that they would able to deal with it. They would not feel that fear, that such thing had happened and there is nothing left in my life, and I would not able to do it again further. What do you think, the three things which a person should be having to deal with such situation in near future?
See, I would say that working on the inner pillars would definitely help in this scenario. By inner pillars, I mean the mental pillar, the emotional, and the spiritual.
Yeah.
So, when we talk about the strength a person has, the amount of mental strength or resilience you have, the amount of emotional strength and resilience you have, and the amount of spiritual strength. Because in these times, when the pandemic was there, a lot of spiritual strength was also needed. A lot of faith in God, in how things would turn out, was needed because no
Mm.
one knew what was happening. So
Mm.
all the three pillars, if they are strong, or in people where these three pillars were strong, were able to handle the pandemic a little in a better way compared to those whom these three pillars weren't strong enough. Imagine, if the phone battery dies, when the phone has a low battery, a lot of functionality won't work and you need to charge the phone. Similarly, when these three pillars don't have that much of strength, you need to charge yourself emotionally, mentally, spiritually, so that you gain back that strength. And once you're strong, you will be able to handle things or normal situations in a much better way as compared to when you don't have that strength in you.
So, do you think there are certain hacks for that to achieve it? Because many, I believe, educated people like us, or who those people who are living in tier cities, right? They might be aware that there are people like you who can help them if in case they get into these kind of situations. But I'm talking on behalf of most of our countrymen who are staying in the rural areas. Sometimes that they even do not aware that they are suffering from any sort of these issues. What are the hacks possibly for those people that they can apply on themselves to make sure that they have these three pillars what you pointed out? A, that they would able to recognize that there is a problem, and B, uh, what they should do to make sure that they will be in a good shape or a good health, in absence of any life coach or any mentor to help them. Would you like to suggest any of it?
Yeah, see, everything requires a lot of consistent practice. So, similar to your physical health, if you stop working out, your physical health goes down.
Yeah.
For you to maintain a sort of body that you want, you have to work out regularly.
Yeah.
Similarly, all these three pillars also need regular work and consistent work. So these are daily practices that you can start doing, like meditation,
Mm.
yoga, going out in nature, pausing for every half an hour or 1 hour, pausing after every 1 hour, doing mindfulness practices, getting a massage done, or doing things that you like to do, like playing a sport,
Mm.
journaling,
Okay.
talking to your loved ones. So, these few things take care of your mental emotional health. Spiritual health is listening to some uh, holy content or reading to something which is talking about your uh, religion or a spiritual being, or listening to a spiritual guru, or listening to a satsang
Hmm.
can take care of your spiritual health. Going to a temple daily or visiting a church daily, so it
Hmm.
depends which religion you follow, which God you believe in, and it's not necessary that you have to believe in a God, but spiritually also you can improve that health,
Yeah.
maybe by meditation or believing in a higher power. So maybe start doing positive affirmations. If you don't believe in God, then you start believing in a higher power, or spiritually start doing meditation, focusing on white light. So that's sort of building up slowly doing all these practices daily, so that these three pillars are also strong.
Okay. Coming back to the one question which I've asked, that what about those people who even doesn't know that they are having these problems? What they would do?
See, these are general practices which, if you look at our grandfathers or uh, great grandfathers, they were already doing,
Yeah.
but these practices have now mellowed down and slowly going away
Okay.
now. And you also see that mental and emotional health issues are on an increase. So
Hmm.
if you go back to the time, what practices our great grandfathers or grandfather were doing, like my grandfather, I remember, used to wake up at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., do his morning ritual of meditating, doing some yoga, pranayam, going for a walk for 1 hour. That is what I do now after life coaching. So it's
Hmm.
not much of a difference. These people were doing it coming from a religious and spiritual background.
Yeah.
Now we have scientifically found out the same things in a different way. But it's one and the same thing. Not much of a difference.
So going down the path of your old school, I think, is the best hack to make sure that your mental and physical health would be in
Would be
line that what
taken
you
care
want.
of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Um, Extending to this question, that leads to me the another question, another part of it, which is the happiness of it, right? So somewhere, we people say that we are happy, and we are happy because we are having access to all the things, like we have access to social media, we have access to the amenities what we are having, right, in terms of monetary aspects, right? But most of the time people still are unhappy, right? um, and the statistics mention like around 80 to 85% people who are even at that level wherein they have all access, all the amenities, all goods, but still they're not happy from inside. They still find ways to get happy, and for that possibly they would choose to go to club. I'm talking about youngsters. They choose to get into the use of substances, thinking that this would give them a high, and then thus the happiness or the pleasure. Now the question what I'm trying to put over here under this context is, you think that happiness is tied to living according to our values, or is it something more broader?
See, it is again individual perspective. Like I have done happiness coaching program as well and life coaching program as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So the happiness coaching program says that it is an inner practice which you start developing, start seeing things in a different perspective.
Yeah.
But my life coaching program says when you are living by your values or your baselines, that is what this program says, that you have six prominent baselines.
Yeah.
And if you are fulfilling these six baselines in all your areas, you will ultimately be happy.
Hmm.
So there are two perspectives. Again, it depends which one, on individual basis, what they prefer, what stage of life they are in, and what resonates with them.
Hmm.
Or you can follow both of these, because there are ups and downs in life. And You never know whether, following the inner practice works sometimes, or following the outer practice by living by your values, living by your baseline works sometimes.
Yeah, but in general, what would you suggest to mass?
See, living by the baseline is a easier practice.
Hmm.
Living by an inside happiness is somewhat when you have reached a level of spirituality. That is when it can be achieved. That is what I believe in. I don't know if someone has experienced differently,
Yeah.
but according to me, those who are not that spiritually attained can obviously follow the baseline practices to fulfill their baselines and live by the baselines, and have some buzz moments, have some things that you like to do, either indulge in a hobby or like dancing, singing, going outside in nature, going traveling, talking to a friend, reading a book, listening to music. There are so many things. So these are just buzz activities which would raise your mood, and then there are activities which will fulfill your baselines. So
So, mhm.
when you start inculcating these things slowly in your life again, you will start feeling more content, more happy.
Right. Any hacks would you like to give for our youngster or Gen Zs? We call them. Most of time, we have seen, and it's evident from the statistics as well, that they would not like to go outside of their house. Rather, they would like to spend something in the form of social media or maybe video games or things like that. In fact, our parents, today's parents, they themselves, from the beginning of a young child, they make them, entertain them, not via toys or something, but via the mobile phone. And so, what do you like to suggest for those youngsters? What they should be doing? I mean, they should get something uh, besides your social media or besides your video games, etc.
I would say that every day you have 24 hours. Everyone on this planet has the same amount of time, 24 hours given to you in a day. And out of that 24 hours, 8 hours is for your sleeping, 8 hours is for your work or your school. The other remaining 8 hours, you take out 3 to 4 hours for yourself. Start knowing yourself, get into reading practices, get into meditation practices. So every day make sure, get into physical workout, go to gym, go for a run, go outside in nature. So every day make sure that 3 to 4 hours you're giving it to yourself, not to social media, not to your school, not to your studies, not to sleeping, but to yourself, to improving yourself, to knowing yourself, knowing how you work, what you like to do, and what would you like to do in future, what are your goals, whatever there is to know about yourself.
Yeah, so I think these are all the best thing which possibly a parents or maybe a teacher would like to teach uh, to their young people, in the form of education or something. This reminded me a story. So in Japan, kids from who age from, say, um, 1 to 10, or possibly from class 1 to class 6th, they're not given any sort of education as such. There isn't any grade, there isn't any questions being asked or exam paper like is the culture of India. Rather, they would actually teach them the social norms. They'll teach them, how to respect, how to get connected with the nature, what you would inculcate in such a young age, so that it becomes an innate things when you go in your broader range. So which means that these guys, the practice what they are following in Japan is actually trying to build a certain level of education in those young minds, so that when they grow up, they would actually nurtured in a way that they would understand, what how things has to go and what they need to uh, do in the near future. um, and it's happened by virtue of the education that had been given right from the young age,
Yeah.
which is not there in India. Do you think that that's same culture we need to follow here in India? And if yes, um, any suggestion you like to give from where to start?
So I remember, like I told you, my grandfather used to wake up at 4:30. So similar sort of training I used to get as a kid. So
Mhm.
apart from school, there was 1 or 2 hours that he would take us kids and teach us moral values, teach us stories, teach us spiritual things, get us connected to ourselves, teach us how to eat our food, how to greet everyone, how to do worship, which God to worship, how to, like everything that he knew, he would teach us. Like separately, there was 1 or 2 hours in a day where he was our teacher instead of the school teachers. So it is a very similar practice that you are telling me of Japan. So it is what should be followed. If you want your kids to to be connected to themselves, you will have to teach them that at an early age.
Yeah. Do you think government can play a role in here?
That I'm not aware of how government can help, but schools can definitely help.
I
If
think.
schools start teaching the parents
Hmm,
that these are the things that should be inculcated, if we start implementing these things in school and start teaching the kids and the parents,
hmm. I
then
think.
there can be a change.
Yeah. In my notion, I think this should come from. Somewhere I inherently feel that uh, India is a country of like a billion people, more than that, and it's pretty difficult to feed them with this idea, saying that you need to get up early in the morning and then get all of those sort, unless and until this has already been following up from their families. Looking at the mental health status, or kind of life coaching where you are in, I think if it is not bound, I would say, but at least somewhere in some forum, if we highlight this factor by some eminent people, by virtue of podcast or maybe some other media channel, the importance of including this particular curriculum in at the school level, or maybe giving uh, education to parents themselves. And I'm not saying forcing 110%, but at least a bit of the portion to mandate it for some reason. I believe in the near future it would become something which possibly all of us trying to adopt it. Now, again, this is my personal opinion, but I don't know if it's going to happen or it would not happen. Again, as you mentioned, it's completely depend upon the family and how they are raising their children, what values they are feeding in, and how they want to do that. Okay, fine. So I have, basis on this context, I have another one from the inner DNA side, which I wanted to know, and this is something which I personally want to know. Like, can someone achieve the true contentment while being disconnected from inner DNA? Do you think it's possible?
I am not aware of true contentment. I am not that much into spirituality.
Okay.
But I have felt that once you start working on your belief system,
Hmm.
on your baselines, on your goals in life, where you want to be, what is your dream life, and how to achieve it, once you figure out all these things and start working on them on daily basis, there is a certain level of contentment.
Okay. So basically,
This
it
is
comes.
when we are talking materialistically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, if we, let's say, we remove this materialistic mindset as well, then still, do you think it
Then we go
poss-
totally into a spiritual realm, which I am not a
okay,
person to talk about.
all right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, just out of inquisitivity, since we are talking here, have you been in certain moments in your life where your own self beliefs and values were tested? On how did you overcome them?
See, there have been many a times when your values would be tested. So it depends on how you deal with difficult situations in your life.
Hmm.
So there were times when I have reacted instead
Hmm.
of responding, but slowly I've learned to respond to
Hmm.
situations and not react to them. So the
Sure.
question is whether at the heat of the moment or whether in difficult times, what attitude you take and
Hmm.
whether you react or you respond to it.
Yeah.
Whether you are able to control your emotions and deal with it in a neutral way, knowing everything, like seeing, the situation from a upper point of view, from a higher point of view, and then taking a call, or you're just going in the flow with your emotions and letting the emotion control you. So you
Sure.
have to be in control of your emotion and able to take that call at that time. If you lose your emotions and emotions take control of you, then
Hmm.
you don't have any say. Then the emotions are doing all the work.
Yeah. So for controlling those emotions, do you think life coaching would be a right place to come in there and then try practicing it, or is there something else also which people can follow?
Controlling your emotion is more about awareness.
Okay.
So if you are aware of your emotions, if you are aware of now you are getting angry,
Yeah.
when you get aware at that time, that is when you can take the situation in your control.
How?
So it's about practice. You will
Okay.
have to practice it, being aware of your thoughts, of your emotions, and knowing a point. Okay, now my emotions are getting agitated, or I'm getting irritated, or I'm getting angry, so I'm going into a negative zone, taking the focus out of it,
Hmm.
seeing this picture from a neutral point of view, taking a breathe in moment, and then deciding. Like, if you
So,
are that aware, then you can change the situation. Otherwise, the situation has the control.
so you're referring to meditation?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Last question for today's podcast, and here I want you to give three advices to our audiences, wherein they would able to embrace it to lead a happy, contented, um, and a good life. So, what advices would you like to give? And if there are certain areas which specifically you want to focus, I would definitely like you to tell them.
Okay, so the first thing I would like to say is to start investing their time and money into physical workout. Every day, take out 45 minutes to 1 hour to go for a run or join a gym or do some sort of physical workout which
Mhm.
raises their heartbeat, which makes them sweat
Mhm.
and makes their body do some work.
Sure.
The first thing.
Yeah.
And it has to be done consistently. So it's about building a habit and not just some days you're doing, then off days, then on days. It has to be done consistently.
Right.
So
Okay.
that is when you'll start seeing the changes.
Hmm.
The second would be to have a mindset of being a lifelong learner,
Hmm.
and for that, start reading every day. Maybe take out 10 minutes or 15 minutes of their time and read something which is constructive, not the fiction novels, the
Hmm.
non fictional stuff.
Okay.
Be it spiritual, motivational, inspirational, scientific, knowledge based, but non fiction, which is increasing your knowledge in any part of your life.
Sure. Okay.
And third would be to take out time for meditation daily or yoga.
Hmm.
Meditation and yoga, when done consistently on a daily basis, not only help you physically, they help you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So you can't ask for anything else. If you're doing either of these things or both of these things, you would be very grounded and neutral and central. Like, you will feel a difference in you.
Sure. Before we go, I'd like to ask if somebody want to reach out to you, what that media would be. Would you like to share, or shall I put it in the description? If you like to say, then most welcome.
Yeah, so my life coaching brand is Soul Sync,
Hmm.
SOLSYNC.
All
So
right.
soul as in your soul, when it's in sync with you, it's Soul Sync. So you can
Absolutely.
search it on Instagram
Yeah.
and you'll find all the links there. And even you can put it in description so that it's easy for them to search. And that is how you find me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sonali. It's been a wonderful and pleasure hosting you here. I hope our audiences will get an abundance of knowledge about life coaching, about how to deal the difficult situations in life. Um, Thank you so much, Sonali. Thank you.
Welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.